Here we go. Hi, everybody. It's Naomi here, and we are doing our monthly live Spark Chat. Hey, Sophie. Hey, Split Dream. Hey, Sci-Fi Bard. This is so awesome. We're going to do this every month, the first Sunday of every month. We are going to, I am going to talk with a past episode guest from our podcast from the Firecracker Department. And I'm excited. I'm so excited to talk to my buddy today. I mean, who's kidding who? This is all just an excuse so I can get to hang out with my friends that I love so much. I'm going to talk with Kat Barrell, find out how she's doing, what she's up to, and we're going to have a little talk about creativity and how do you stay creative when there's a consistency of our creation. If you haven't already, gone over to Firecracker Department, wherever you listen to podcasts, and subscribe to our podcast so you can hear all of our podcasts. Hi, Clickers. Hey, everybody. There's some cool ones. I know there's a lot of Erper fans in here. Lots of hearts on that. And, is this Kat already joining me? Is this you, Kat? Come on. Oh, that's my background. There we go. Let's see if we can get Kat to join. I think you have to, Kat, I'm sure you're watching this. I think you just have to ask to join, and then we'll join you up. But yeah, so if you haven't gone over to the podcast world, do. Firecrackerdepartment.com is where you can subscribe to our newsletter. And we have a private membership page over in Facebook, and you should join that because there's lots of things that are going on with our community, and sure would love to have you part of it. Let's see, who have we got coming up here? We will record this. Now, it doesn't always record for me, which is such a drag, but, did I just cut Kat? I have no idea how to join this thing. All right, you gotta go to the ask for an invitation, Kat. You're adorable. Did you get it? I'll keep talking. You got this. Yeah, people are encouraging you. Send a request to be in the live video. I love it. This is part of like, nope, that's not her. I know she needs some tech support, but you know what? This is actually part of like Firecracker. All right, the invitation. I love this so much. This is so funny. The invitation. Oh, thanks, Vicky. Hi, how you doing in England? One of our core gals, Vicky Breer. Yeah, this is fantastic. You scroll up when you join, and it should be a pink little button that says request to join. So funny. This is really, really fun. I mean, this is part of it. In Firecracker Department, we don't always know how to do everything. We got to figure it out. Get out of the live stream. Yeah. Get out of here, Kat, and then ask to join the video. I love it. This is like the first time you're going live with another person on Instagram. And I will talk about anything while I wait for you, but take your time. Just enjoy yourself. Don't feel rushed. We're just chatting, me and all these folks here. Have you guys heard Kat's podcast with me? Oh my God, I love it. I love it. You guys are looking after Kat. It's crap. This is so funny. No, I have before, but nope, that wasn't you. You got this. I know I mean, there's something to be said. Oh yeah, the newsletter. Well, I did say, don't forget to subscribe at firecrackerdepartment.com to our newsletter, because that'll be full of good times, good things. She's in real life. George is true. This is so funny. I don't really care. Like, we're all here for you, Kat, and I love that you just sent me a text of it, Kat, but now. Okay, if you leave the live stream and then rejoin it, so leave, get out of it, and then rejoin it, and maybe, do I need to go on a phone call with you? I don't have another source of phone calls. Um, let's see. Why doesn't somebody, yeah, favorite color? Well, red right now. Uh, when you rejoin, it'll be scrolling in the comments. Oh yeah, I have faith. I have faith. Um, Maybe somebody can like send a screen capture of what the button is that she's supposed to push. Scroll through the comments. It's at the top. Oh, I think she's done it. I think she's done it, everybody. You did it. Here we go. Hello? Hello? It's happening. Hi.
Lord.
Oh,
As I have before, and I was like, I can't remember where this
my
magic
God.
button is. I went out, I logged back in. Hi, Naomi.
Hi, my friend.
How are you? It's nice
It's
to see you. You
really
have
nice
a
to see
very
you.
like influencery background going on over there.
Yeah, this is it's just paper. I carry this wherever I go for
Ah,
whenever I do this.
very, very heavy paper. Do you carry it in like a wheelbarrow or?
Yeah. Because that's how important this is to me. But it also
Great.
is how I do some part-time rock climbing, just
Just to keep fit,
just to keep fit, my
upper body
friend.
strength, right?
You're in Calgary, huh? You're
No, you know where I am. I'm in Burlington.
you don't need to brag.
Yeah, at my parents' house. I'm hanging out with them. I had a few days off, so I flew home. I go back tomorrow morning.
Nice to
But
see your
yeah,
hubby.
yeah, see the hubby, see the folks. We made some pasta today. It was awesome.
Did you take your puppy with you to Calgary?
No, he's here.
No.
He's staying with Ray because it's just too. I work like I'm gone like 14 hours,
I
15 hours,
know.
and he'd have to be in my trailer, and he doesn't do so well with change. So
Right.
he
I mean,
stays
who
home.
does?
Who does? But especially not Bernie. He was
You
just
look
here a second ago. But
you look great.
oh, thanks.
How's it been
Thank you.
going in Winona Land?
It's been going really good. It's been
Yeah.
really nice to get back. It sort of feels like we never left. It's really funny. But, we all have our like neighborhoods that we stay in and that we like. And I love the area that I'm in. I know where everything is that I want to go to, all my favorite restaurants. And so it's nice now that it's in a place where it feels like we just pick up where we left off rather than
Yeah.
being like, oh my God, new place. I'm trying to adjust, new people. We have so much of our crews back. So it's
Yeah.
really nice. It's been fun. And the scripts are amazing. We've already shot 2. We're going on to the next 2 starting on Tuesday. Yeah, so it's exciting.
Is there something that you do to click yourself back into the character?
Um,
Like, is it mostly like for me, it was always the
Yeah.
costume. Like the costume.
Yeah, the costumes help. The hair helps for sure. Just like seeing the visual difference in the mirror. I think too, like Nicole has an energy, and I think it was more juxtaposed because I worked on a different show just before this. I was working for Hallmark for a while,
Yeah.
and so I felt more of the difference this time around because I could feel the difference in like my voice and what part of my register I use. And I never really consciously thought about that, but I've just become aware of it now coming out of something, and I think feeling the difference.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? You must feel that way with your characters and stuff.
Yeah, I think for me it's always been in like the dialogue, like the scripts are so different and the
Mm-hmm.
pace of whatever my character is, and I don't know. Sometimes I can find, like, I was just in the Disney Zombies movie, and
Yeah,
so I'm
that
in like
just
a
came out. You went to the premiere, right?
yeah, it
So
was real fun.
nice. You looked beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
loved the dress you were wearing.
It was
gorgeous.
sweet. It's so funny because we do these like premieres, but this was for kids. So I was at home in bed by 10 o'clock at night
Amazing. That's
with
so
like a thing of
exciting.
ice cream. It was like, I'm pretty happy.
That sounds amazing. Did you watch the movie, or are you like I don't want to see it? Okay.
No.
And how was it watching with an audience?
Well, I mean, I'm a small role, but like the kids are amazing. The dancing and the singing, and they're all very sweet people too. Like they're very, I don't know, like they're young, but they're very inclusive and aware of each other. Do you know what I mean? Like
Oh,
sometimes there's an age group that aren't as aware because it's, they're
Because
kids.
they're
So they're
so
true.
incredibly self-aware. There's like no more space up here for anyone.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe,
I
yeah,
remember that phase.
yeah.
Yeah, but
So,
these kids are great. That's awesome to
yeah.
hear. I
Um,
feel like kids, I hope in this era of like much more awareness around bullying and I hope that the next generation is slightly more empathetic.
yeah, I think that's
I'm
something
wondering
we
if
have to constantly be like shining a light on, and as
Mhm.
kids get into places where they're challenged, like bullying and like any outside influences that might be negative, to challenge them to be like empathetic
Mhm.
and oh yeah, I mean self-aware of themselves, but also of people that they're dealing with.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I hope so. I hope it's getting better. I've talked to a few of my friends who have kids entering school and the bullying thing starts to come up and
Yeah,
it's so hard. I don't know
it's
how you
so
handle it
hard.
as a parent.
Were you bullied at all as a kid?
You know what? I had a brief stint in high school. I wasn't really in elementary school,
Hmm.
but I had it really bad in college,
And
which
why
is
was
like
that?
so bizarre. I think a few factors. I had switched over from another college, and a friend of mine came with me, and he was going through a time in his life. Like we were both at Sheridan, and then we switched to George Brown,
Okay.
and we didn't really do it together, but we both sort of ended up not liking the previous program and then auditioning for this one, both getting in. But I think he was going through a really transition-y time in his
Yeah.
life. And I think he was very concerned with the fact that I knew sort of the old, more like flamboyant, loud, outgoing version of him. And when
Hmm.
we got to theater school, he was really into being this very like serious, well-read actor man.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I just think that he was trying so hard to like shed the old version of him, but I was a constant reminder of that other self, maybe.
Hmm.
Anyways, that's my theory.
I mean, that's very
He was like
empathetic of
my
you.
really good friend and my roommate, and then he just sort of turned on me and like made the first year of school
Yeah.
really hellish, especially having to live with him. Like it was just such a
Nightmare.
like excluding me from people, and I'd come home and a bunch of my classmates would be over, and it was just, and it's in such a small program that there was only like 30-ish of us, and so being excluded from things or talked about behind your back, it just got around so
I know.
fast. And then I had a particular teacher that was also an absolute nightmare. So he's gone now, thank God, because he had so many complaints against him. But at the beginning, it was anyways, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I get it, but what did you do? Like, because those kind of things, I feel like that still happens. Like, there's still moments where I'm like, because I'm such an inclusive person, I really fight to like Matt and I'll go out for dinner, and suddenly there'll be 10 people for dinner because I'm like, everybody,
like Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
But
everyone come in, which I love. I love that.
Yeah, it's my jam.
Yeah.
Because I also know what it's like to be excluded, and so.
Did you have bad bullying?
Of course, like we
Yeah.
all, like I was number one on the hate list. Like I remember finding a list that said number one Naomi Sneakers.
That's
So-
what if you were the number one as in the best one?
That's very sweet of you, but no, it was like, who do you hate? Number one, this one.
That's horrible. I'm so sorry.
But what did you do? Like in college, what did you do to sort of get through this?
Oh fuck. I mean, I didn't handle it super well. I think it was, theater school is such a like
Yeah.
crazy.
Right.
There's something online on Twitter I responded to the other day. One of the Winona writers, I think it was Shelley Scarrow, had retweeted it, but it was a post from someone saying like, we need to stop the culture in our theater schools of like the like work till you drop. I don't think it's exclusive to theater schools. I think there are lots of programs
Yeah,
that
yeah.
have that mentality, especially post-secondary. There's like horrible depression and suicide rates in students, and it's the just, we're not teaching like work-life balance, and I think it's very damaging. And this thing in theater school is just like work till you drop as hard as you can, as long as you can. I lived like 5 minutes away
Me
from
too.
the school, so I could run literally like out of bed 10 minutes before class started and just run.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then sleep there. Like I would find
Oh,
like
God,
corners
yes.
to sleep, and
Yeah.
I eat a potato for lunch. Like it was unbalanced.
It was imbalanced.
But that's a really good segue
Yeah.
into this topic that we want to talk
Yeah.
about. Because
Okay.
when I asked you, because every time we do a Spark question, the first Sunday of every month, there'll be some sort of topic that my guest will choose, and you were talking about something that's in your sort of mind these days about like when your passion becomes work.
Yes.
So tell me more about that inspiration to discuss that.
Oh, I think speaking of that, like waking, like grinding kind of mentality, I think it was so pushed into me that I had to be working, because what we do, I think, is a job that so many people desire. It's held on such a pedestal as being like this and it is for
Oh my God, we're so lucky.
honest and amazing and true reasons. But I think when you work so hard to like get the job, then once you have the job, the panic sets in of like, I don't deserve this. There are so many people who want this. I better not like complain for a second because there's 25 people, 150 people behind me who would like kill for this job. So I think what I struggle with sometimes is the mornings where you get up and you're like, I don't want to go to work today. Yeah. And then but everybody has those days. And I think for so many years, I got so mad at myself and I didn't allow myself to just be like, yeah, I just don't want to do it today. I don't feel like doing the thing. You know.
I mean, you still do because you have responsibility.
Yeah.
You're not one of those like
taking a day off is not an option. But I think it's unhealthy to like not acknowledge that it's okay for some days to not feel the creative juices flowing. I think it's really hard as an artist because there's this sense of this drive and sort of the muse, this elusive muse. And there's some days when the muse just isn't there. So you've got to just power through and find another way. But I think what I've discovered is the more you kind of fight against that, and berate yourself for feeling that way, it's very counterproductive because it's not really helping anything or making it better. It's just sort of like, I don't know. I mean, what do you think when you wake up and you're like, I don't want to work on this audition, or I don't want to go to set, or I don't feel like writing. I'm just not feeling inspired.
Yeah. I mean, it's different when you're not getting paid, because if I don't feel like writing, nobody's like, hey, keep writing, because it's my own writing project. It's your own
thing. But you are sort of getting paid. I mean, I think that's the other thing is you sort of have to think of it as like that the big check that comes when you do a big gig also pays for your time to write, to put food, lunch on the table when you take your break from writing. I think when we work in these self-employed kind of piecemeal industries where you're just working project to project, it's all and so someone is pay it, I think I don't know what
you're saying. It's an investment.
It's an investment,
but I think what I like what you're saying is that if you don't honor how you're feeling, you kind of like you're not authentic, right? You're not being true to yourself. So like to recognize like I'm going to go to work and I'm going to do my job to the best of my abilities, but I'm checking in that maybe I'm a little bit off balance.
Yeah.
Right. And then I'm lacking something. Like then I'm kind of like, oh, I need to hang it. Somebody called it I need to do some relationship therapy or something like that, or when they needed to invest in their relationships. So they get on Skype and they talk to their buddies, and then they balance that out so that you can not feel just like you are in a cycle,
Totally. And I think being in that cycle, I think it's easy to forget the fun of it, especially if you're working like a lot of really long days and you're physically exhausted and mentally exhausted. I think it's really easy to lose track of how fun it is. And it's so funny because one day you could literally I could do the same scene on set as an actor, let's say, and one day I'm like having a blast and we could do the same. I've never shot the same scene twice, but it could be the same, and it's just the next day, and the scenes are relatively similar in tone or theme or challenge level or whatever it is, and one day you're just not feeling it, and one day you're like, this is amazing. And so what's that about?
So what do you do then? Like the days where it's just a job, how do you, like, because you're a responsible person, you get up and you go to your job, but what do you do to sort of find the spark?
I think focusing on, I think it's good to step back and the like realizing how lucky I am to be doing a thing that I love so much, and all of the checking in with knowing how many other people would love this opportunity. I think just that reminder. But I'm always very aware of that. I don't really
Yeah.
lose sight of that very much.
You're very great. You have a lot of gratitude in your heart.
So much, so much. And I think it's so important. But I think just like when you're like, I'm fucking tired and I wish I didn't feel this way, I feel shitty and I'm kind of in just a cranky mood and I'm hormonal and I don't want to do the thing. I mean, I think I try to find one thing, one moment in the scene that I really love. Or like sometimes you're working on stuff where you're like, this is shitty. Like I don't.
Right. When you're in a project that you don't
your
believe
project
in.
where you're like, ooh, this is a bit cringy, but I'm gonna say these words and do this thing.
But
and so
I think that then you find the thing. Like,
you gotta find the
when I was at Second City and we do these shows, and like I loved a lot of the shows, but I didn't love all of it. You can't. There's always the one scene that I'm like, ooh, the one scene. But then you find the nuance within that scene that I'm gonna love. So something like going to set, maybe like, I'm not happy on the set, but I really like the sound person. They're really fun to hang out. So I'm gonna really like invest in that and find like a deeper meaning. Find deeper meaning wherever you can, I guess.
Yeah. Or find that like if you're working on stuff that's a little bit, let's say, lighter, or doesn't have quite so much depth to it. There's not as many layers. There's not as much to dig into artistically.
Yeah.
If you're doing, or like maybe you're shooting a commercial, or you doing like, I don't know what it is, something where it's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's all part of this kind of career.
Yeah.
And I think you got to find like that one little bit of it, the one part of the scene or the one thing that you're writing that kind of, and when you don't, I think you got to do other stuff.
Yeah. So what do you do? I'm not like, I know Winona's very fulfilling because it's very satisfying on so many levels.
Because it's like such great writing. But
yeah. And the people like, so then do you have like something that you go home and be like, because I know you also write, and you're also an artist on so many other levels. Do you have something like that sort of kicks it in? I'm doing The Artist's Way right now too. So
Are
that's
you?
really
I love The Artist's Way.
Yeah.
Are you doing your morning papers?
Every morning.
Yeah.
Did you do it?
I had so many morning papers that were like, fuck this, I don't fucking get out of bed, I fucking hate this shit, this is such bullshit, this is never gonna help. Like so much negativity that flowed out of me. But that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like you gotta get that out and out of the way.
And I can't read my own writing, so it's perfect because I just kind of write.
You don't even go back. Yeah, because you're not supposed to read them.
No, in fact, they said somewhere like you're supposed to burn them. I don't think I'll burn them, but I think it'll be really hard to read them again because I can't read my own writing. So what are you doing like? Because Winona shoots for a long time too.
It does. We shoot till the middle of May.
Yeah,
it shoots quite a long, and then we've got some really exciting, like a very big con schedule coming up, which is going to be amazing, and lots of traveling, but just lots of like. Very, focusing on the show and the storyline. And I think for me, what I found is I need to step out of it and do other creative things. And for so long, that was like, well, I'm going to write and I'm going to create stuff or I'm going to direct something. And I still do that. But then I found I got just burnt out in general with like the film industry. I was just like, I'm so into this. And I think it's because my partner's also in the industry. So there are moments at the dinner table where we're like, okay, no more shop talk. Like, let's talk about something else other than work or the dog.
What? Like, what is there? Like, it's such our passion.
It's hard because it's your passion and then you double it, right? Yeah. And then and a lot of our friends, like you guys, like so many of our friends are in the industry. But I think for me, because I'm such a like tactile creative person, I did like a little leatherworking thing years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I did that. My thing is, my mom's like, why don't you just knit or do something that's more contained that you can put in a bag? And
I know, because it's supposed to be leather work.
Exactly. Everything I'm into is like, I got to get a studio space and I have all these tools and it's like $1,000 of startup costs because I have to buy all these really expensive materials and like, not 1,000, but you know what I mean? Like I have to invest in it. But I'm just not I don't like anything where I have to follow a pattern very much.
Right.
And I like more like free flowing things, but I really need to work with my hands. So I actually did a really awesome, Dominique. Do you know Dominique who works on Wayne?
Not well, but yeah.
No,
yeah, I know
but she and I did like a yoga, not a retreat. We did sort of a yoga evening where it was for Chinese New Year's. It was like a manifesting thing.
Oh, like a Reiki?
No, it was more of like a really intense, so funny, because I just had like a normal bra on. And I go and she was like, I have an extra sports bra. Do you wanna wear it? Because I don't know if it's gonna be. I was like, oh, I don't think. I was expecting this like meditative,
Right.
slow, and I'm so glad I changed because this girl was so intense. We were like jumping and screaming and like
Wow.
flinging our bodies around just to like loosen up, I think, and release the energy. But it was so funny because I turned to her after and I was like, God, it's so much for my assumption of this being like a tranquil,
calm,
meditative
like
experience.
lavender oil spring sprayed.
All the spray. Oh, there was things. It was lovely. I've actually never done one of those big. It was like 75 people there and
Great.
in this huge event space. I'd never done anything like that. It was really great. So anyways, I'm getting off track, but the second part of it was to describe. So they played this beautiful music and we closed our eyes and then we had to envision our perfect day. So from the second you open your eyes to the second they close, like what is the perfect day? If it involves work, great. It doesn't have like any day. It could be a weekend. It could be like who's there? What are you doing? Where are you? What time of year is it? Like every detail.
Yeah.
And then we had to journal the day. So just write out the day.
Love it.
And then what we did after that is we pulled out the 5 kind of main themes. So there could be like food came up, like really farm fresh food came up a lot for me, and sunshine and being in the garden and like working with my hands and gardening with my mom and hiking. I'm not really a hiking person. Like I'm not a camper. I would not consider myself that type of person at all. But that came up a lot for me, like going hiking with the dog and just a lot of family and things that if I had gone at it in more of a way of thinking about, well, like what are the 5 most important things to me, it might not have come up. So then we had to pull the 5 kind of common themes that came out, and then we had to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 of how present they are in our lives right now.
Yeah.
So for me, like a big one was being like with Ray and with my family but my family life is wonderful and I'm spending lots of time with my family, and so I feel like very fulfilled in that aspect. So that was like, a 10. But then things like nature was very low for me. But it was funny because I realized it was on my list. So then we took the 2 lowest things and we had to brainstorm what we could do to fill those tanks up.
Yeah.
It was really great. And my other one was working with my hands.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how much of this I'll get to do in Calgary, but Calgary obviously is like cowboy country.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to start working with hats and remolding hats and decorating hats and just something, because I think I need to be creative.
Yeah.
Outside of our industry.
Yeah. And working with your hands, because then you can like see what you've created. Whereas what we're doing, you sort of like step back and it's sort of a little bit less tangible.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And you're off your computer.
Yeah, off your computer. That's a big one too. I often go through phases where I just delete Instagram off my phone for like 4 days. Just because I find it's one of those things where I'm just mindlessly scrolling when I have 5 minutes of downtime. And I just think, gosh, if I could just accumulate all that downtime and funnel it into something that's going to feed me, it would be really helpful.
I know. That's a good, and it's a muscle, right? Like somebody was just talking about like, how do you do this? But I think it's a muscle that if you kind of start to exercise, we'll get better at it. Like after this is over, let's write that little instructions of what you went through.
Yeah.
And we can include it on our Instagram so people can sort of talk about their favorite day. Like I would love to encourage people to seize that. Like I think you're right. Like nature's big, getting off the computer is big, things like that. I think it's really, really good. And leather's great. I did a mask making workshop in leather.
Oh, like a Camellia.
Yeah.
Oh,
and they were like teaching how to carve it and things like that. Like it's beautiful. It's a beautiful material.
It is. It's very cool. It's malleable and there's something timeless about it. And I think it's a really cool. The only thing that bothered me about it, because I'm such an animal lover, was like buying animal product.
Right.
But I mean, this was like 7 or 8 years ago that I was super into it. But now I love the idea of repurposing old things or finding maybe a used something and pulling it apart and remaking it using the material again.
What kind of stuff do you want to make?
Well, right now my thing is hats. So I've been looking. I actually, one of our amazing costume ladies on Winona brought me to this really cool costume. It's like a community of costumers in Calgary. So I
Yeah,
went with her last weekend. And I just met a bunch of her friends, and it was so cool to just be in a space with a bunch of people who make things. Because costuming was actually something I really wanted to go into. I
I
almost took my
remember we talked
transition.
about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So I think just being around those people who have those skills and just that creative environment, just being in the flow of those people, you sort of can absorb it and feed off of it a little bit. And I think for me, that's really it. It's that
Yeah.
second thing of working with my hands and making something. And so I want to work with, I think the next thing I'm going to tackle is maybe taking a few old hats and learning how to reform them. So you sort of
Oh,
steam them out and then you reshape them. And then
cool.
I want to do some sort of like embossing or burning or painting or dyeing or something with
Yeah.
the fabric to sort of create a design. It's so
No,
I don't know.
you
The
know where we
problem
need to
again though
go.
is it's like now I need a steamer and
I
I need to buy
know.
all these dyes and how am I going to get them home after this is over? And so it just sort of goes, but I'm hoping to find a place where I can maybe rent a space and just go there a little bit, and
Yeah.
I just need to get the creativity out rather than, and it can't be on writing or it doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
It just
And I
doesn't
think it has
really.
to be
Yeah.
like reachable too, like because you could easily talk yourself out of pursuing this whole thing that we're talking about because it's too hard, as you said.
It's
It's not like,
complicated.
but what happens if it's just working with one hat and
Totally.
like working on engraving it or working on branding it or whatever it is, something really simple that you can actually do. Because I
Yeah.
think, because there's so often when people are like, oh, I want to paint, but I don't have any paints and I don't have any paper. I'm like, you know what? Get the back of an envelope and some charcoal from a match.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you know what I mean? Like, let's make it
Exactly.
happen.
Carries away.
Yeah. And
What's your thing?
obviously, I was just going to say that we obviously need to revisit where did we go last year?
Oh, the Ren
The
Fair?
Renaissance Fair, because I mean that's your people with those hats and
Those are my people.
fantastic.
They're my people, and
I don't know. My
yeah.
thing is it's tricky because my thing is so revolving around, like I was saying to Matt yesterday, like how much there is to do before you're allowed to be creative. So like there's like I'm working on a show right now that I'm so passionate about, but there's so much producing before I get to actually
Do
act
this
in
thing.
it.
Totally.
Yeah. So while I'm spinning that plate, I'll improvise. Improvising always helps me like feel like I'm myself again, just because it's interactive with the audience, and we do a lot. We do like once a month at least a show, and
Nice.
so and yeah, and we have our podcast that we do too. So if ever I'm like we need to improvise, I just bring in some people to our
Oh yeah, that's
apartment.
right. Of course.
Yeah,
So fun.
yeah.
And do you find that even though it's kind of connected to performing, that it still creatively sort of fills your tank, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's different for different times, right? You're right.
Mhm.
Like, do you know what my friends and I do that I really love is we have a Bob Ross night.
That's
It's
awesome.
the most fun. So one of our friends, CJ, has all the supplies. So she brings the oils. We all bring our own canvases.
Best.
So, and we just put them up on screen and follow along and all come up with these weird sunset things. But it's really fun, and it's a really
so
like,
fun.
so that, and yeah, I don't know. Photography. I used to do so much photography. And when you talk about like things that make you happy, I'm like, I used to love it. Like I had a dark room, and I don't do that anymore.
Oh,
Why don't I
wow.
do that? And
Really into
yeah, I
it.
loved it.
That's really cool.
So I may try to start working on that more. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have such a passion for where we're going with Firecracker Department that there's
Ah.
always something to do, and
Yeah.
you know.
Do you ever find, I mean, you were talking about it a minute ago, but the list of, there's so much to do before you can be creative in the producing sense. But do you also find, I think for me, I've learned one of the things is if I can get out of the house and go do the thing, it's a lot more likely that I will do the thing as opposed to being in the house at home where there's a million things, because the list never ends.
I know.
The list of like, I gotta fix that tap, and then I gotta go to the bank, and we sort of need lettuce, and maybe, I gotta, like that list never goes away. So I almost feel like you have to schedule
Yeah,
this,
office
I'm
hours.
gonna be creative this afternoon, because
Yeah.
otherwise it just doesn't happen.
Could you find a studio in Calgary to work in?
That's sort of what I'm trying to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
finding a second space or a studio space. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Even if it's just to get you going, and then
Totally.
eventually you move back home. But you're right. Like I do. I mean, that's why sometimes I go to like a coffee shop and I just
Yeah.
work from there because I like the change of
Absolutely.
environment.
The change environment, and you're just sort of there to do. I mean, the computer is a hard one though, because the internet is a vast, vast black hole.
Boy, is it ever. I
Interesting
know.
things.
I know. And I have so many ideas that I don't want to let like whisper away too. So, but you know what? We got to go easy on ourselves too. Like you're working long days and
Yeah.
you got to, you know, you look healthy, you like eating right and exercising and all that stuff too. But
Yeah.
it's true when you talk about filling your tank, like what do you do to make that happen?
What do you? Yeah. What's the what fills the creative the muse tank? Because sometimes my muse is like, I don't want a script. I want a painting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like sometimes the muse is just mine is not interested in anything related to more work stuff. I don't know, but maybe when you're an artist as a living, it's sort of all. I think it's all. Like I think it's important. I know it for me, anyways. I think I'm realizing more and more that I've just hit that like burnout feeling too often.
You've been going consistently too. Like there's
I mean, yes and no. I had a little bit of downtime in Los Angeles last year, but that was also a year of like, because Winona didn't come back, it was like, oh fuck, okay,
what's gonna happen?
Everything I was thinking was gonna happen with the next 6 months of my life is not happening anymore. And I think there I was really I got really into like decorating our house, and I was recovering chairs and like painting things, and so that was really fueling me. I was funny, I was talking to my therapist, and I was like, I just keep getting distracted with Pinterest, and I'm like painting this credenza, and like, who fucking cares? We're only gonna be there for like a year. Like, why am I wasting my time on this? And she was like, well, obviously it's because you need to.
Did
like
you
you're
say it like that? Obviously.
The creativity.
Yeah.
Obviously, idiot.
Yeah.
But I think there was something to that, you know? I think I've learned that I need to prioritize filling the tank more, because then I hit burnout too soon, and then I start begrudging having to work on an audition, and I don't want to get to a point where I feel like that.
Yeah.
You know,
that's so interesting. You said two things. Like one, I have two comments. One, I think it's really it's good to find a duo too. Like even like if you've got a project and you're like, how do I move this forward? Find somebody else that's like-minded so that you can sort of be accountable to each other.
That's great.
And one thing somebody suggested to me was like, set yourself a goal of making gifts for somebody.
Oh, that's nice.
Because then it's like, even like, I remember being in like in a funk, and my friend was like, well, just start making you Christmas gifts. And it was like April, and I'm like, I'm not going to start. But I started sewing, because I do a little bit of like sewy stuff. Cool. And it just took me away, because I was creating something I was getting outside of my own head.
Yeah.
I was putting others first.
That person and how much you love that person that you're making it for.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how sometimes we can do a million things for other people, but not for ourselves?
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how it becomes easier when it's for someone else?
I know.
I hate that.
I know that we were just talking about this today on one of the YouTube after show parties, about saying like, how do we make ourselves our friend? Like, I want to make myself a gift, you know, but that's not really enough. Like, it's such a weird thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you find that it's easier for you to motivate yourself when it's a deadline that someone else is counting on you for, rather than just the deadline you've made for yourself?
Yes. Oh my God. I'm so like, but that I also think like there's some discussion in the chatter about like depression too. Like that's helped me get out of depression, because being responsible to somebody else. Yeah. So again, like this Artist's Way, I've had that book on my shelf for 20 years, but now that it's part of Firecrack Department, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it every day.
I'm going to do it. Oh, so. Yeah. And so maybe that's like you said, just having that buddy is the thing that you need to sort of kickstart the engine. And yeah, that's great. It's very cool. So there is, because I've seen you sort of saying you guys were going to be doing this and a journey as a group. And so now are you guys having like check-in meetings?
Yeah, every week.
That's cool.
It's really, we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again, because it's been so fun. And I want to do it like, what's that?
I should join you guys on the next round.
Oh yeah, you really should. I mean,
Yeah.
shoulda, woulda, coulda. Do if you want to. But the other thing is, because I know you and I talk about writing projects. Like I want to do one that will take me through for a writing project.
Yeah.
So, and
That's
we've
great.
had some pretty great ideas. I don't want those to just whisper away. I want to honor.
Yeah, we gotta. Yeah. I think
But then
we'll
also, like,
lock
we're
ourselves
also
in a
gonna
cabin for a weekend and get that.
Oh, that
outline
sounds
done.
super fun.
Yeah.
Just for the lock yourself in the cabin part.
Cabin sort of thing.
But like,
Yeah,
let's go
2 days
easy on
later, we're
ourselves
doing
too.
face masks and haven't written
Oh.
a word, but whatever, that would be fun.
So many good times. But there's also like, let's go easy on ourselves. Like you're super busy. Life is
You're
coming and
super busy.
going. We're figuring it out. And I do believe things move forward when they're supposed to. So
I think you might be like one of the top 3 busiest people I know. Maybe the top. I don't know how you balance all the things you're working on.
well, yeah, I mean, I'm really passionate about it. And I don't know, busy. Yeah, like, I mean, I take days off too. I guess this is the difference, is that I think I've set myself a goal with the firecracker department that has put me into the world of like a 9-to-5 job almost.
Wow.
But I'm not getting paid for it. So it feels, and it's also self-motivated. So I'm really making it happen. And suddenly I have to honor all the people that have stepped in to say, I want to be part of the firecracker department by giving focus and giving engagement and giving energy to those things. So I think also when you start a company, the first 5 years are really intense. And then,
Yeah, completely.
and then I'll be just like sitting back.
You're like, yeah.
Oh, so many face masks.
So many face bags and so much sand. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But I'm
that's
excited
awesome.
about all the things. I'm excited
But
about
I don't
the
know
things
how you
that
like do it all. I'm always thinking about you every time I see something new come up with Firecracker. And I know you've told me before, it's not just you and you've got all these amazing people working with you and stuff. But just like the logistics of a team. What is
my dog just like gave a
Yes.
cry. What? Hello? Is Rufus there?
I've got it.
Oh. Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Rufus.
Is he okay? Oh, he wants to be with me. He can come here.
Why don't you let him be with you?
I think Matt was thinking it was going to be distracting, but come here, bud. Hi.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, come here. No, that's here. Hi, come on. No, here. He's a bit blind, so come here. Oh. There we go. Okay. There.
Oh,
Rude.
Rude. Hey, buddy.
Well, I don't want to take any more of your time, Kat. This has been so
No.
great, and I so
This is great.
appreciate
Wait, Bernie, come here. Come here.
There was somebody, Kat. Oh, look, it's Bernie too.
Bernie. No, it's just dog hangout time. Hi, love.
Kat, somebody in one of the comments said, does Kat know that this is live?
Yeah.
Like, I think because we've had such a very authentic discussion, it just was like, does she know that she's sharing?
Oh, yeah, I know. Don't worry,
You're-
guys. I know.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. You're such a, just such a real gal. So thank you.
Oh, thanks, lady. It was
So
really
fun.
nice to see your face. I miss
I
you.
know. I miss you too. We'll
We'll have to do something soon.
yeah. How long are you in Calgary for?
Middle of May. So
You're
a
there.
long time. But maybe we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
find you somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I think about you all the time, and I just
Yeah.
think you're. This is what I love about you is that I know you have such an artist heart that I know that you don't do things without really like getting into it. Like you, even if it's something that you're like, oh, I'm not really sure about this project, you're still like, I'm gonna find the thing that makes me feel like I'm an artist. So I really love that.
Wow,
about
that's
you.
a really nice thing that you just said. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot.
I'm a big fan. I know everybody else here says they're a fan, but I'm a really big
But I'm a real big fan.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big fan of you and all the amazing things that you do. You
Thanks, pal.
inspire me every day. I don't know how you do it. I know you say you have the people, but you're still doing so much.
I was brought up by a workaholic.
Is that okay? So
No.
you have a healthy work-life balance. You're
It's
like,
about
okay.
I'm so motivated by purpose, and I feel like this is a really good purpose.
It's a great purpose.
Yeah, and I love that you're part of it in any kind of way.
I will be more one day.
Anytime,
Yeah.
goes without saying. There's always a chair for you at the table.
Thanks, love.
I love you.
appreciate that. I love you too.
Thanks,
Nice to see
everybody.
you.
Thanks for
guys
joining
for joining us.
First Sunday of the month. I don't know who the guest is going to be next month, but somebody fun. And
Somebody fun.
this has been real fun, and I'm so glad you all came in. And let's do that thing. I'll start a little thing saying I'll call it your perfect day on our Instagram.
Okay.
And get people to write their
Yeah.
perfect days.
I'll write it. Should I write the steps to you?
Yeah, send me the steps.
Okay.
And then I'll put like a little picture and we'll just say, what's your perfect day? Because I'm so curious about how to like turn that into action, right? So I love that this person took you through the idea of like a perfect day, but then what's one thing you can do? You know, like what's the one thing you can do after
Totally
being inspired?
I think the only thing with the perfect day exercise is it's sort of not as effective if you know where you're going. Like if you know what the next question is.
Oh, yeah.
I almost wonder if you could release it in like steps.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea.
I don't
Let's
know.
do that.
Okay.
We'll do like a step thing,
Let me
like a
noodle.
weekly thing.
Yeah, I don't know, something.
I like it.
Then you can
All right,
back
let's
to
go.
it.
We'll take this offline and you can
Okay.
help me put it through.
Okay, perfect.
But I love
All
it.
right.
If it generates somebody in taking like creative action, it's fantastic.
That's awesome. I love that.
All right.
Okay, darling.
Mwah.
Mwah.
Bye for now.
Hi to Matt.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.